see if you can do a burpee. Let's see you do a little burp. Hi there. In today's vlog, I'm going to talk about breastfeeding my newborn baby. He's almost 6 weeks old now. It's something that I obviously have been doing for the past 6 weeks with my newborn, and it's something that I did with my other 2 children as well into toddlerhood. So today I'd like to share with you 5 tips that I feel are really useful and important when breastfeeding a newborn baby. So the first thing I want to chat about is the latch, John. And for the mom, like if it's uncomfortable at all to break the latch, you can just put your little finger into the side of your baby's mouth and kind of break the latch and start again. Because if you continue and it's not comfortable, that can lead to lots of really nasty things like cracked nipples and soreness that you just don't want, especially at the beginning when you're, dealing with all the newness of having this new tiny baby. The latch is just so important. It's called breastfeeding, not nipple feeding. So that's why a really deep latch is so important. The second thing is positions. So there are lots of different positions you can use when you're breastfeeding. Some will feel more comfortable than others. It's really good to try lots of different positions to find out what is the most comfortable for you and for your baby. For example, the laid back breastfeeding I find really good because I have a really fast flow. And if you're breastfeeding with kind of in a laid back position, then your baby is sucking against gravity rather than with it. So the milk isn't like pouring into your baby's mouth, but your baby has to kind of work a little bit harder for it to come out. Side lying, for example, I love because we use the side lying position at night because both of us get more sleep, and that just works really well for us. So it's good to try lots of different positions, and one position might work on one side but not feel as good on the other, and that's fine. You can use different positions, and depending on the time of day, how you're feeling, where you are, if you're out and about, if you're at home. So it's good to try lots of different positions and find which works best for you, and that might change as time goes on as well. Thirdly, support is vital when you're breastfeeding, I think. I just feel like it's something that maybe you're having no problems at all, no issues, no challenges, but it's still really nice to go along to meetings and to meet other moms who are breastfeeding, and just to, understand what's normal, and it's a nice way to make friends as well. And it's always handy when the people you make friends with when you're like a first time mom or second anytime mom, but if they're breastfeeding, it makes it easier because you can kind of understand what you're going through more, and you can support each other. Then if you do have like real burning issues, the support meetings or phoning a breastfeeding volunteer can be really useful and reassuring. The best people to get in touch with are your latch league, or here in Ireland we have Quidu and Friend is Breastfeeding. And it's really good to go when you're pregnant, get all the information you need and phone numbers, meet the people, meet the volunteers, and and then the other person that is really important for this is your lactation consultant. There should be one if you give birth in a hospital. Each hospital should have one, and you can request, even if you don't see them in the first few days, you can go to your maternity hospital and see your lactation consultant for free up until your baby is 6 weeks old. So that's really good to know as well. And your lactation consultant is literally like an expert in breastfeeding. And if you're not happy with what one lactation consultant says or what, the information they give you, you can always get a second opinion as well. Number 4, I want to talk about tongue tie. And I feel it's something that's really important, and it's kind of underdiagnosed here in Ireland anyway. And I suppose it's important for me because I've had 2 babies who were tongue-tied. If your baby is tongue-tied, which means that the tongue is slightly restricted underneath, which can sometimes make breastfeeding more difficult, then you do have the option of having a procedure called a frenotomy. Both of my sons had tongue ties, and my first son had both anterior and posterior tongue tie, and I got his divided at 2 weeks. My current baby had a tongue tie, an anterior tongue tie, and I got his divided at 6 weeks. I just feel like it's something it's good to be on the lookout for, because often it's overlooked in hospitals. A lactation consultant is really the only person that can diagnose it, and they will often refer you to someone who can surgically or using laser divide the tongue. But there are places you can go, you can self-refer, and I'll put some of the places that I know of in the links below, because I just feel like it's something that's underdiagnosed and that can really impact breastfeeding negatively. And if more people knew about it, then perhaps it would help more people to have positive breastfeeding journeys. Number 5 is to feed on demand. This is so important. It's really important to watch your baby and not the clock. Don't time your feeds, because, you know, with breastfeeding, it's kind of like very much a go with the flow kind of a relationship. You have to follow what the baby needs. It's not going to be the same every day or every week. You know, there are going to be periods when they cluster feed. There are going to be periods when they sleep for longer, hopefully at night. And, you know, so that's important. I think feeding on demand is like one of the golden rules of breastfeeding, and it can really help. I think it's important to know as well that then when they do transition to solids and eventually wean completely from breastfeeding, that I feel like feeding on demand really helps them to understand their hunger, and rather than us managing, you know, how often they feed and when and how much they get, then they decide, just like you or I would, when you're hungry, how much you get, and, you know, when you're satisfied. So how do we know if our baby, our newborn, is getting enough milk? You keep an eye on the output, so count the nappies and to know what's normal, and you know, that's all you need to know. Like, you know, if your baby is peeing and pooping regularly, then everything should be fine. Again, that's where going to your support meeting will be really useful, because you'll get all the information you need and all the support, and all the other mothers who will have the same or similar stories, and you know, will give peer-to-peer support. So that's all I have to say for the moment on breastfeeding my newborn. It's so amazing. I just really, really love learning a new breastfeeding relationship with a new baby. It's like, it's such a special time. And for me, it's such a hugely important part of mothering. So I really hope these tips and, you know, little kind of anecdotes have helped you. And if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments below. If you're currently breastfeeding, let me know how it's going. If there's something that you feel was really important or is really important for you in your breastfeeding journey, do put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. And thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and please subscribe to hear more from me again. Bye bye.